Let's call the meeting to order. Call the roll.
Mr. Broderick?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Crompton?
Here.
Ms. Fide? Here. Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Orlando?
Here.
Mr. Rusinellis?
Here.
Mr. Strong?
Here.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the first item on our agenda is A-12-18, and that is the...
Microphones are not.
Okay, can you hear us now? Okay. The first item on our agenda is A-12-18, and that is the annexation of 1311 New Lenox Road, classification to R1, single-family residential zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. The applicant in this matter is Ricky Sheffield, and that's Love's Travel Stops. They are the owner. Requested action, approval of an annexation classification to R1, single-family residential zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. The purpose is to incorporate the property into the city of Joliet and to provide contiguity for the property to the east. Existing zoning is single-family residential. R4, that's unincorporated Will County. Location is 1311 New Lenox Road. Size of the parcel is 2,296 square feet. Existing land use, vacant single-family residential. Surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is residential R4, that's unincorporated Will County. To the south is residential R2, City of Joliet. Residential R4, unincorporated Will County. To the east is vacant land, that's R4, unincorporated Will County. To the west, residential R4, unincorporated Will County. We could find no previous cases under site history. Special information, the petitioner is requesting approval of the annexation, zoning classification, and approval of the annexation agreement of 1311 New Lenox Road in order to bring this property into the Joliet corporate boundaries. The annexation of the subject property will create contiguity for the Love's Travel Stop site that is being proposed to the east, and which is also on the agenda as a separate annexation request. In addition, the subject site could be developed with solar panels or a dry bottom detention pond area for the travel stop as part of allowances within the proposed annexation agreement. If not utilized for these accessory uses to the travel stop, a single-family house could be built on the site as is permitted within the R1 zoning district. The subject property recently contained a single-family house and accessory buildings, but these have been demolished. Adjacent land uses are residential, and those are in unincorporated Will County. And the requested R1 city zoning is consistent with the area and the city's previously approved South Side Comprehensive Plan. City water and sewer are not available to the property at this time, but they will be brought to the site by the travel stop development. A future single-family house would be required to connect to water and sewer and pay sewer and water connection fees and the East Side Sewer Treatment Plant surcharge. The detachment fee for East Joliet Fire District has been previously paid. Library detachment fees are not required for this property as it did not previously pay into a library district. And that concludes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Could we have the petitioner on this item?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Members of the Commission. If I could ask a question first of Kendall and maybe of Chris, do we want to explain the whole process first with the next two petitions and then take separate votes at the end? Or do we, and I'm addressing this to Kendall, or do we want to just address this matter first? It may be good to explain everything first and then take everything in the end in a separate vote.
If it's the pleasure of the board, I can read in the next report into the record. And then for voting purposes, we could separate them.
I think that would be best for everyone to vote.
Very good. Petition number A-13-18, the annexation of 7.83 acres at the northeast corner of New Lenox Road and Oakview Avenue. Classification to B3, that's general business zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. A-14-18 is the annexation of 4.3 acres located at 799 South Briggs Street. Classification to B3, that's general business zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. The applicant in this matter, with the A-13-18 case, is Ruth McGinnis, Nicholas Keka, Annette Keka, and the estate of Mary Louise Keka. A-14-18, it's the First Midwest Trust number 8531, and the developer of this site, Ricky Shuffield, Loves Travel Stops. The status of the applicant is property owner. Requested action, approval of an annexation, classification to B3, that's general business zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. The purpose is to incorporate the property into the city of Joliet for future development. The existing zoning for A-13-18 is unincorporated Will County R4 single-family residential. A-14-18 is unincorporated Will County C-4, that's highway commercial. Location A-13-18 is the northeast corner of New Lenox Road and Oakview Avenue. A-14-18 is 799 South Briggs Street. Size A-13-18 is 17.83 acres. A-14-18 is 4.3 acres. Existing land use, A-13-18 agricultural production. A-14-18 is vacant commercial. Surrounding land use and zoning. To the north is residential, R4, again, that's unincorporated Will County. To the south is commercial, undeveloped, C2 and R4, unincorporated Will County. To the east is commercial, C2, unincorporated Will County. To the west is residential, R4, unincorporated Will County. We could find no previous cases under site history. Special information, approval of the proposed annexation agreement and classification to B3 zoning will allow for the future commercial development of the subject site with a new Loves Travel Stop. The proposal includes a one-story convenience store cafe building that could also contain Subway and Hardee's restaurants and a separate tire shop building. The exterior material for 4 sides of both buildings would be a masonry product in order to comply with the city's design standards. There is a gas canopy along the front that is proposed for general vehicular sales and one in the back for truck fueling. The pylons on the gas canopies will be faced with masonry material for their entirety to match the buildings. 81 truck parking spaces are being proposed towards the back of the site for short-term truck parking only. 1 full curb cut is being proposed to accommodate the general automobile circulation in and out of the site. A right in and left out only curb cut is also being proposed for a truck only ingress and egress. This mechanism will prohibit trucks that visit the travel stop from traveling westbound on New Lenox Road away from the facility. Landscape berms along the north, south, and west property lines are being proposed in order to act as a buffer for the neighboring properties. A 30-foot wide berm is being proposed along the north and west sides that will also include a solid wood 6-foot high fence and landscaping plant material. A 20-foot wide berm is proposed along the south property line that will include landscaping plant material only. A landscape plan will need to be submitted as part of the future building permit that meets city requirements for the site. A wet bottom stormwater detention pond that could include native plantings and a fountain is being proposed on the site near the northwest corner of Briggs Street and New Lenox Road. Contiguity for this site is being made by the annexation of 1311 New Lenox Road to the west. The requested B3 city zoning is consistent for this type of location and the city's previously approved Southside Comprehensive Plan. All public improvements will be required as per the subdivision regulations and the requirements of the Public Works and Utilities Department. These will include a full road improvement for New Lenox Road, the entire extent of the development, a full road improvement for Oakview Avenue adjacent to 1311 New Lenox Road, and a half road improvement for Oakview Avenue north of 1311 New Lenox Road adjacent to the west property line of the travel stop. The developer may pursue a recapture agreement from the adjacent property to the south for these upfront development costs. City water and sewer are not available to the property at this time, but both would be brought to the site as part of the future development. The distance of these utilities is quite large, and a 50% sales tax rebate agreement may be pursued by the developer to recoup some of their costs to extend these lines. The new development will be required to pay sewer and water connection fees, the East Side Sewer Treatment Plant surcharge, and the developer impact fee. The detachment fee for East Joliet Fire District has been paid as part of the application. Library detachment fees are not required for this property as it did not previously pay into a library district. Provisions and conditions within the annexation agreement will address some of the following: adherence to the city's non-residential design standard ordinance, requirement to include masonry covered gas canopy pylons to match the building material, adherence to the requirements of the city's landscape ordinance, requirement for a 6-foot-high solid wood fence to be installed along north and west line berms, no chain link fencing allowed on site, requirement that berms are to meet required 3-to-1 slopes, allowance for 2 main buildings on 1 lot, allowance of signage of a signage package as an attached exhibit, requirement that no idling signs be posted on the north property line fencing, and allowance for drive-through restaurants subject to further public works review and city council approval. And that concludes this staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Could we have the petitioner on all 3 items?
Once again, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Michael Hanson, attorney on behalf of Love's Travel Stops. First of all, as you've heard, we've worked with the city staff on this project for a number of months right now. We are in compliance with all the city ordinances and provisions, worked with them to make certain that we comply in every which way with all of these requirements. We have a little presentation for you today. We have Rick Sheffield will be our first speaker. Mr. Sheffield's over 25 years experience with Love's Travel Stops in Oklahoma City in the areas of operations and now currently development, and we'll be able to answer questions concerning the actual site and the scope and any questions concerning Love's. We have Robert Matko of the company of CESO of DeWitt, Michigan, who conducted our travel study and our traffic study, who will answer questions and give a little presentation concerning the traffic impacts of the project. We also have Mr. Nick Hirschberger of the same firm available here. He's from Akron, Ohio. These individuals have worked with Love's all over the country and various other similar developments, so they know exactly the routine and they're experienced in addressing questions of this nature and kind. I'd like to take the opportunity also to thank the support of local union labor, who's been a big supporter of our company, and we will be building this facility with union labor, and we appreciate their support here today. First, before I call on Mr. Sheffield, I'd just like to give a couple of important facts to the members of the commission outside of the staff report. Number one, we're going to have approximately 60 to 70 full-time new jobs that will result because of this development. Capital investment into the city of Joliet and the surrounding area is in excess of $13 million, not including the road and the facilities. Third, the total annual impact to the city of Joliet in the way of revenue is estimated to be $1,380,000 based on sales taxes, gasoline taxes, and property taxes. The land cost is nearly $2 million. And like indicated earlier, we'll be constructing this facility with union labor. With that, I'd like to ask Mr. Sheffield to come up, make a little presentation. He'll be available for any questions of the commission.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman and Commission members, thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to be here this afternoon. I'm really not going to waste a whole lot of your time, but I did want to let you know that I am here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding Love's itself as a company or the actual site plan and how the operational parts of the site plan will work regarding separation of traffic, the various components of what kind of services we provide to the traveling public, or anything else that you might feel is appropriate. As I said, we are very much appreciative of your time today, so I'm not going to waste a lot of it. I think most of the discussions are probably going to be more related to traffic and other concerns. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to introduce Mr. Robert Matko, who conducted a traffic study. He's going to tell you exactly how the study was conducted, the results of the traffic study, and the impacts of traffic on the Love's development.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, again, my name is Robert Matko. As stated, I work for CESO. I've been a traffic engineer for going on 29 years. I am a registered professional traffic operations engineer. I have conducted in excess of over 200 traffic impact studies over the years. I'd like to briefly walk you through the traffic impact study that was prepared on behalf of the proposed Love's development. Specifically, the study, we had meetings with both IDOT, actually through phone conversations with IDOT, but also personal meetings with Will County to develop a scope of the traffic impact study. Once the scope was developed, we moved forward with performing traffic counts. The traffic counts were conducted by a national traffic counting firm named MyoVision, so everything was video collected. Again, and you'll hear me use the word standard practices a lot through my presentation. I would like to note that the entire traffic impact study was performed according to nationally accepted standards, specifically the Institute of Transportation Engineers, along with both the state and the county requirements as discussed initially prior to the study commencing. Once we collected the existing traffic count data, we then entered the data into a simulation program. The name of it is called Synchro, which also produces, basically, it provides delay. So it'll give a level of service of the different study intersections that result in level service A through level service F. Just like a letter grade in school, A being very good, F being very bad. Typically, you would want to be at a C or D or better. I know for this study, we looked at a level service C or better. That's what we were striving for. So as we commenced and developed this model, reviewed it against current traffic conditions in the field, ultimately accepted by IDOT and the county, we moved forward with the results. And the results today, showed there's obviously some issues out in the field. What we did then is we generated the proposed Love's trips. And again, we used the ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. At the time, it was the 9th edition. That was looked at to actually develop the trips for the site. Once the trips were generated, we took the trips, added those to what we considered at that point a no-build traffic condition. So we took the existing traffic volumes, we grew those to what we considered opening day traffic, added the Love's traffic on top of that, and ran the analysis again. The analysis showed that there were some movements that needed to be improved. What we then did is looked at several mitigation measures that we would have to bring the level of service back, or what we would consider acceptable C or better conditions. And again, just like a letter grade in school, C is, in this case, was meeting what's out there typically with improvements. So once we came up with the improvements, we went one step further, and IDOT required us to look at a 5-year future scenario. So again, we took the existing traffic volumes, grew those out 5 additional years, then added the Love's traffic back on top of that, ran the analysis again, and came out again with a list of mitigation measures that were required for this site. And what Love's is actually proposing is to install those improvements through 2022 that are recommended in the report for the grand opening of the store. So in other words, those improvements would be constructed prior to the grand opening. And specifically, you can see the screen in front of you. What I'll do, instead of getting into all of the letter grades, except to let you know that we did, again, mitigate the impact back to a C or better level of service. So what you see before you with the slide up there, we actually came up with 15 different recommendations. And some of these are very substantial. You can see, again, I think a lot of you have it in your packet, all of the different improvements. Specifically, there's a lot of widening. So what I'll do is I'll briefly walk us through the 15 different recommendations. Specifically, the I-80 eastbound off-ramp, Love's is proposing to actually widen the south side of that ramp and construct a 565-foot right turn lane. That would accommodate any future traffic queuing that would result, and again is mitigating any impact to that east leg or eastbound off ramp. In addition to the 565-foot eastbound to southbound right turn lane, the eastbound to northbound left turn lane would be restriped again to obtain that 565-foot storage length. Moving along to item number 3, we are proposing to construct a 190-foot northbound to eastbound right turn lane on South Briggs Street at the I-80 eastbound on-ramp. Again, so South Briggs Street will be widened 12 feet and an entire northbound eastbound right turn lane and shoulder would be constructed in that area. So that is one full additional lane. What that will do too is it will permit, it will just extend the right turn lane at New Lenox all the way up to the eastbound on-ramp. Item number 4, these are where some really big improvements are going to come in. As you go out in the field and you see the 2 existing signals that are located at the I-80 eastbound off-ramp and New Lenox Road are somewhat temporary. Love's would be proposing to remove the current signals and reconstruct and install new traffic signals at both the I-80 eastbound off-ramp and also at New Lenox Road. Again, those are pretty substantial improvements. The signals out there today are outdated. They're somewhat temporary in nature. Along with the 2 traffic signals will be significant modifications to the traffic signal timing, which will also help traffic flow in the area. Moving along. North of the I-80 eastbound on-off ramp on South Briggs, we are proposing to widen the west side to construct an additional southbound through lane. Again, this would occur just south of the overpass, and again would continue through all the way to not only to New Lenox, but extend beyond New Lenox, creating an additional through lane approximately 200 feet further south of New Lenox. So again, that'll create one additional through lane through the area where Love's would have the most impact. Continuing along, we have item number 6, which is extending the southbound left turn lane on Briggs Street at the I-80 eastbound on-off ramp. Again, that will be an extension to the existing southbound left turn lane. We'll also mirror or match the southbound additional through lane that will be added. Item number 7 is actually improvements to New Lenox Road. Love's is proposing across the frontage of the site will be widening New Lenox Road to essentially create a for the majority of the length of the project, a 3-lane cross section. and that will extend all the way back from South Briggs Street all the way to Oakview. And again, that is an additional lane, so it will be a 3-lane cross-section for the majority of the road. As you can see, as we get close to South Briggs Street, it actually widens to what I would call then a 4-lane cross-section, because we would be also proposing a westbound and northbound right turn lane all the way to the Love's passenger car entrance. Continuing along, item number 8, we would actually widen the east leg of New Lenox Road to form a left turn lane on the east leg that would mirror or match the eastbound and northbound left turn lane on the west leg of New Lenox Road. Item number 9, as indicated previously, would be an additional through lane, again, between the I-80 eastbound off-ramp and New Lenox Road. As indicated, that lane would also extend south through the intersection for approximately 200 feet prior to tapering back to existing pavement. Again, number 10, I somewhat alluded to earlier, was or is a proposed, again, new signal at New Lenox Road and South Briggs. So again, those existing signals at both intersections will be removed and replaced. And to be noted, both of those intersections, along with the westbound on-off ramp, would be in a coordinated signal system. So in other words, what that is going to do is allow the north-south through to be on a coordinated system, which would again allow vehicles in the north-south direction to move through the area at a coordinated pace. I will move ahead to number 12. Item number 12 is we're going to be restriping that northbound to eastbound right turn lane on South Briggs at New Lenox. That will be restriped to a through right, since the northbound right turn lane onto I-80 is being proposed by Love's. So again, that'll essentially create an additional through lane in the north direction at that location. I already spoke about the eastbound and northbound right turn lane on New Lenox Road into the Love's passenger car driveway, but that right turn lane is approximately 250 to 260 feet in length. Item number 14 is the actual Love's construction of the passenger car driveway that is proposed to be a full access driveway. Item number 15 is the construction of the Love's semi-truck driveway, and that will be constructed to allow the right in, left in, and also the left out movement. So in other words, the right out would be prohibited. We did work with entities to try and restrict or try to push that outbound left as far to the left as possible to really prohibit any type of truck to make that right turn lane. So as you can see before you, we have numerous improvements, and I would like to add that, again, what we tried to do with this study is mitigate not only any impact, but also make this a safer situation. I know you'll hear a lot of discussion moving forward, but that was the prime focal point of this traffic impact study. We've shown that we've completed that with the improvements that are listed in front of you. With that, I will turn it back over and thank you. I'm sure I'll be answering any questions you may have. Again, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that's our presentation for right now. So unless you have any questions, then we'll stay around and we'll have a closing, if we could, at the end of the question and answer period.
Any comments or questions from the commission?
I got a couple. Mr. Matko, have you, in your traffic study here and that, have you addressed, or what do you think this completion of this might alleviate to any congestion or problems with Route 53 and the gas stations down there, South Route 53 and Blairway?
I know specifically our requirement was again, this focal area, because the majority of the traffic would be coming from the interstate. We do have shown 20% traffic coming off of South Briggs, but much of that traffic is actually pass-by traffic, which is traffic that's already on the road. So we'll be actually taking some of that traffic off of the site. But the majority of the traffic will come from the interstate, and that's why IDOT and the county, we focused on essentially the I-80 off-ramps and New Lenox Road along with South Briggs Street.
Have you, in other areas that you put these in, have anything been similar to this to show the alleviation of other problems in the area?
You know, some of our studies, again, we don't go far out, but I can tell you with some of the improvements we're making, you know, again, we focused on traffic flow and not only trying to improve the traffic flow, but make sure that this site will work. And that's what we were brought on board to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One more question. I don't know, Mr. Hanson, it says in here that a 50% sales tax rebate agreement, and that has to do with the running of
Sewer and water.
Sewer and water and stuff like this. What's the timetable on that? Is that a permanent thing, or is that set up for a year?
15 years, 15-year abatement.
15 years.
So it would be 15 years, or if we recoup that sales taxes, whichever comes first.
And that's 50% off of the amounts that you gave us?
Well, it's going to be approximately $2 million. That's the estimate of the sewer and water cost right now.
Yeah, if I could speak to that point.
Please come up to the microphone just for a record.
Sure. To that point, the way, and we obviously have not finished that agreement yet, but we were trying to structure it as such as, you know, we would get the, I guess, the benefit back of the sales tax collection, but the city would always maintain more than 50% of that sales tax and fuel tax collection. Based on our projections and based on other sites that we operate, we're expecting for this to be less than a 4-year payback. So, you know, after that period of time, of course, the city would then reap the benefit of all of it.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
I have one. I'd like to address about how many trucks are going to be going in and out of the station per day.
We estimate 600 trucks per day over 24 hours.
Within 24-hour period?
600.
Within a 24-hour period?
Over 24 hours. That's, excuse me, Mr. Commissioner, that's one truck every 2 minutes.
Right. Well, and then how many cars you figure?
Cars estimated at 2,400 cars
2,400?
per day over 24 hours.
Okay.
And that's according to the study, and the estimated national average is given to you by Mr. Matko.
Okay, now the new road that they're going to propose here on New Lenox Road, the widening, is that going to be able to handle all that traffic?
Yes.
Hang on.
That's the results of the traffic study conducted by Mr. Matko. Indicates that, correct?
Well, that's like 100. I figured it out at 2,000 cars a day and 600 trucks. That came out to 108 an hour. That's now you just added another 400, right?
No,
cars?
no, I didn't. No.
You said 2,400.
2,400, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was 400 less on the cars.
Okay.
So, so you think that this is going to be able to handle all this traffic over here, and also with all the truck traffic that is existing now on Briggs Street that comes from Estes and Cherry Hill, the warehouses on Cherry Hill, you think this will accommodate all that?
Well, let's have Mr. Matko, who's our traffic expert, come up, and he can answer this question better than any of us in this room.
Again, I would like to indicate, obviously, we're required, we do feel we're conservative on our trips. We used, again, national guidelines, the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual, to come up with these trips. We feel our traffic study is very conservative. I believe IDOT as well as the county also agree with that. As far as the study, and as I walked us through, again, how the study was set up, we analyzed all of the additional traffic in addition to the existing traffic. And I know you'll hear some points tonight, well, your study's old, your counts are old. We looked at this not only as a build condition, but also a 5-year future condition. And all of the improvements that are recommended were for a 5-year future scenario. So those 5-year future scenario improvements are actually going to be constructed for day one.
Okay, now, is all this road work going to be done before the Loves project starts?
That is correct.
Everything will be done before that?
That is correct.
And what's the estimated time for that?
Again, schedule, it really depends on how the process, not only through the city goes, but there are some hurdles that we need to move through. And again, when I say hurdles, approvals from the Planning Commission, approvals from the council. I don't know if anybody has an idea.
As far as the actual construction timeline, that's what you're asking, all of the off-site improvements will take place at the same time as the construction of the travel center facility. I would estimate here that it's going to take 9 months to a year. It could actually potentially take a little bit longer because of the seasonality and just kind of dependent upon the weather. This has quite an extensive amount of off-site work. Not only the roadway, but the utility extensions are going to be pretty lengthy.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, pretty much. Since you're right there,
Sure.
what is the average Love's truck stop traffic hold? Is this about average or some more than others?
I would consider this average to maybe a little bit more. They all vary. We've got some locations that will do probably 50% more volume than this, and we've got some locations that will do 50% less volume. A lot of it depends upon the fuel market, the traffic, and the competition. And this, from a traffic perspective, has more traffic than the average location, but it also has more. I'm talking about I-80. I'm not talking about the crossroads. But there's also a larger amount of competition and smaller span of area going to the west on I-80, starting in Manuka and going all the way to the state line. And then once you cross over into Indiana, Gary is, truck stop Mecca. So there's plenty of hoses, which is what we refer to as capacity.
Okay. Maybe Mr. Hanson can answer this question I have for you also. There's going to be a 50% rebate, sales rebate, and you said that's over 15 years?
Correct. The 15 years, or whichever comes sooner if it's paid up.
What's the amount of money?
Well, we estimate $2 million.
$2 million? Okay, and also in the thing here, it says a developer may pursue the recapture agreement from adjacent property to the south for upfront developmental costs. So are you going to charge the guy that owns the property that on the soybean field there? Is that what they're talking about?
The property to the south, there will be essentially 2 recapture agreements. So when the property to the south is developed, he will have to repay then his share of the cost of the road as well as the bringing of the sewer and the water to the property.
Okay.
For clarification, he will not be paying Loves for the utility reimbursement. But for clarification, the adjacent property owner to the south would not be paying Loves for the utility hookups. That money would be charged from the city and given to the city because we would have already been made whole. The part in time, which is part of, I believe, the city procedures, is because we're building out the entirety of the road, we're only actually obligated to build half of it. So we would then be able to recapture, when it's developed, the second half of the road, not the entirety, just the portion that property owner would have been obligated to put in.
Okay, now, I took a ride out there, and you said you're going to get sewer and water out there. The nearest hydrant I found was on Herman's Lane and Mills Road. That's probably about a mile away. Pretty close.
I could bring my civil engineer, Nick, up here. He could give you the specifics, but yes, that's why we're talking about such a large number to get utilities up here, is because the distance is extremely far, both on the water and sewer.
Okay, where's the line going to start which way is it gonna go in order to get to the site?
We're in the process of working with the city utilities department on that. What hasn't been completed, you're in the general vicinity of where it will start, but that still is issues that have to be worked out with the city utilities department.
Okay. I also have another question too. Getting back to the first piece of property on 1311 Oakview, you said there that, Mr. Sheffield, you said that you were thinking about putting a retention pond in there? It could be a possible retention pond?
Yeah, what I was doing, because all of the engineering for the very site-specific things have not been completed, in the event that we needed additional storage area to take care of our retention needs, I wanted to leave that option open that we could potentially pipe it over there to take care of the stormwater needs.
Okay, and the solar panels?
The solar is another thing that Love's has gotten into. We're actually doing solar projects in a lot of areas where we're putting panels up to handle the, if not all of the need, most of the need of our facility. It's just kind of a green initiative that we've started. So once again, just kind of leaving the options open, because we really wouldn't have enough additional area on the build-out property to handle it. It takes about 1.5 acres or so of solar panels in order to handle the need that we would have for electricity.
Okay. Then if you don't build any of this retention pond or solar panels, what's your future site for the future plans for that site?
Most likely residential. I mean, that's what it's being zoned for. So, I mean, it's
kind of tough to build a house there. After everything's done. Well, I mean,
I did buy that house.
Okay. No, that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a traffic study question, and Mr. Mako, is it? The estimate that you're giving us with the trucks and the cars, that is not in addition to the existing traffic that's over there, correct? Because
No, that is proposed traffic.
it's going to be proposed. So the traffic over there, do we have those estimates within?
For the existing? What?
Yeah, so the numbers that you just gave us, those trucks are currently going on those roadways. You're not bringing all of that just in, correct?
That's what I had indicated. 20% of what those numbers stated would be passed by or already on the road.
Already on it, 20%?
A lot of what we're looking at is the majority of the traffic would come from the interstate.
Yes.
You know, with a development like this, and again, that's why a lot of the improvements are occurring within that area. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't in addition to what is already, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Travel.
No, that's correct. Thank you.
Quick question for you, sir. Was IDOT involved in your survey?
They were initially consulted, and they came up along with the county, the scope of the traffic impact study. So yes, they were involved with the traffic impact study.
I have another question. Now you mentioned about IDOT. Did IDOT ever give you any indication about the Briggs Street Bridge? Have any problems with that?
In terms of, I'm sorry.
Well, I heard it wasn't up to their codes, that they reduced the weight limit on it. I know that. I heard that they reduced the weight limit on the bridge.
Yeah, we received that letter as well, but I think if you read the letter, you know, it indicates obviously that, you know, trucks that would visit this site or frequent this site would satisfy that weight restriction.
Well, here's the thing.
I think the weight restriction was 41 tons.
No. Yeah, 41 ton gross weight.
That's correct.
But the problem is, we're not going to know how many trucks are going to be going over in a 24-hour period. For example, 2 o'clock in the morning, you might have 2 trucks going north and 2 trucks going south, and you don't know what they're carrying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this facility is going to be open 24 hours, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But again, you know, if you look at that letter, they're not saying that the bridge is not to standard. They're saying that it can handle the traffic. If you read the letter closely, they're not saying, in other words, they would not even review our project if there was an issue with the bridge. They would have immediately stopped. We have IDS plans, intersection design study plans into them. IDOT has reviewed those a few times at this point. You know, we're aware of that 41-ton restriction, but again, as indicated, the trucks that would frequent the proposed Love's development would satisfy that requirement or under that requirement.
Okay. Another question I have about the road, since you're up there. Oakview, Love's will develop Oakview Avenue from, Oakview Avenue from New Lenox Road, only halfway till there to the back of 1311 Oakview Avenue.
That's
the property. They're going to take care of that, right?
Oakview all the way up to the north boundary of the proposed Love's property.
Okay, so the people, the 9 homes and back, the road's going to stay as is.
Stay as is.
And then the road from Oakview Avenue going east will be developed.
You mean west?
No, east, Oakview going east to Brick Street.
Brick's fully improved, both sides.
I mean, excuse me, New Lenox Road.
Fully
I got the streets
improved,
mixed
both
up.
sides, according to city standards.
Okay. And then anything west on New Lenox Road?
There's the 2 lots on the corner of Oakview and New Lenox, correct?
Right.
The road will be improved also in front of those 2 lots.
That's 1311 and 1309.
On both sides.
1311 and 1309?
Correct.
Okay. Are both of those lots going to be purchased by Love's?
They already have
1311?
been purchased.
Huh?
They already have
Oh,
been.
they have been purchased?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the audience?
Joe, let's,
I do have some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I do have just a few questions. So I had a question similar to Mr. Orlando with regards to the current condition of the Brick Street overpass. Are you saying that it was studied or was not studied within your current traffic impact study?
The only item that was studied in the traffic study, again, was the capacity, the analysis, the traffic flow.
Okay, the traffic flow, not the actual structural integrity of
That's
the
correct. I believe IDOT had sent out or had made a letter and.
Okay.
Mr. Broderick, though, if you, what Mr. Matko said earlier was that all of our working with IDOT, had there been an issue with the bridge, it already will have been raised by IDOT. We've already gone through the traffic study. The IDS studies is starting its 3rd go-around, and the bridge has not been a part of that. So as far as we're concerned, there are no issues with the bridge.
And I appreciate that, Mr. Hanson. I'm just trying to get an assessment as a non-engineer to get a sense for the integrity of the overpass with the projected traffic conditions that will possibly be impacted. So I'm just trying to get a sense for that level of integrity in the construction. The second question I have is relative to the I-80 exit ramp for Brick Street. I looked at your study from CSSO, and I looked at with interest with regards to the Brick Street southbound I-80. The current measurement is letter F, and then it's going to improve to a letter C, which is standard.
That is correct.
How does that happen, and when does that happen with regards to that ramp?
Are you talking the eastbound ramp?
No, I'm talking about westbound.
Westbound, well, again, as you can see in our study, right when our study was completed and we had made the recommendation, IDOT actually, there was a signal that was ultimately installed there. What would happen with that signal, again, it'd be looked at as a coordinated signal system with the 2 existing column new signals now that will be installed at both New Lenox and also at the I-80 eastbound on-off ramp.
Okay, so the mitigation is going to be signal related.
That's correct.
It's not going to be expansion of lane related.
That's correct.
That's similar to what you're going to do on the eastbound.
The eastbound ramp, obviously, because of its proximity to
Sure.
New Lenox Road, required that a turn lane be installed along with a brand new traffic signal at that location.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. No other comments or questions from the commission? Is comment from the audience? Sir, please come up to the microphone, state your name. Pastor, 1 second, please. Let this gentleman come up. Thank you very much.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Randy Early. I'm a resident of Sugar Creek subdivision, and we do have skin in the game. But you know, all one has to do is look at, you know, there can be studies, you know, in perpetuity, and the variables. There's so many variables in traffic that cannot be taken into consideration until this is put into practice. One good example is when all those warehouses came in. I'm sure they had plenty of traffic studies and all that. But all you have to do is look at the exit off of 80 onto 53, and it backs up into the Interstate 80 many times. And I'm sure the study's been done about that, but you know, the variables. And then, now here's another variable. Many of the trucks, oh, we don't want to get off there. They get off someplace else and come through on Mills Road. They come through all the way. We see them, they're lined up at the stop sign, the four-way stop. Now that's a variable that apparently wasn't seen with all these traffic studies. You know, it's the variables that are going to get us. And the bridge, as far as that goes on Brick Street, I can see the rusty rebar through the concrete. You know, but I'm just telling you that you cannot plan for these variables. Like, say, the truckers are going to find a way to get around it. They're going to go through neighborhoods, and nobody can stop them. You know, there's no police to do it. They have other jobs to do. But, you know, I beg you to please look at the variables that you cannot plan for. And this is going to happen. It's just going to happen. You know it will. These traffic studies are a set thing for set parameters, and the variables can't be planned for. They just can't. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the committee. I'm not going to take my 4 minutes. I'm going to tell you the way I tell my church. I'm going to treat you the way Elizabeth Taylor told her seventh husband. I'm not going to keep you long. But anyway, I live at 1310 New Lenox Road. They're annexing off my property. I annexed my property in when I was a city councilman. They're doing a strip annex, a 75-foot strip annex, which will probably be challenged in court, off my property to 1310. I've been there for 26 years. The traffic is horrible. The turn lanes that they're going to put in coming off 80 eastbound, the trucks have already made that turn lane now. They widen out, they run on the shoulder. They do it now. We cannot get in and out of our property. I appreciate Mr. Hanson, who is my church attorney. We're battling this one out. And Rick from Loves that says it's going to make it better. So you've got to live there to see how bad it is right now. With Estes, the new Estes terminal that City of Joliet approved on Briggs and Laramie, that opened 2 weeks ago. There's so much truck traffic we can't get in and out. We thank God for those improvements, but if you put those improvements in there right now without Loves, it would still be a traffic jam. So what we have done, we've actually read the study. People are going to talk about the study. We have petitions, and I hope I get my minute at the end. But I want to take time right now to apologize to the City of Joliet. I voted on Center Point and a lot of developments. I sit there for 24 years as city councilman. And because we did not know the impact, I voted for things that is hurting now. I don't want this plan commission and the city council to make the same mistake that I made. I have petitions.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Robert Schultes, 1297 Berger Avenue. I reside just west of the intersection of Mills and Briggs. I currently am as the fire chief for the East Joliet Fire Protection District, and I am opposed to the proposed Love's truck stop. To begin with, I believe the annexation itself is questionable and suspicious. In 1978, East Joliet constructed a station at 911 South Briggs. During the planning, we looked into purchasing property where the Love's proposed is to build. We were informed after a meeting with the county that we would most likely have issues with the ingress and egress, then decided to build where the station is located today. Our apparatus is relatively smaller, and we are still informed that we could have issues. We also understand the need for the city of Joliet to bring big dollars into the city and provide construction jobs to local contractors. Once occupancy is completed, the contractors move on to the next project, and large amounts of semis, which are not needed, begin to come in. The intersections in this location are small now, and adding more turn lanes and loading lanes can make an already congested area worse. On the overpass, it is only 2 lanes with signaling at each end. I personally have seen the bridge loaded completely with traffic in both directions. Imagine working to get emergency equipment through this. It's not easy. And I firmly believe the truck stop will only make a bad situation worse, no matter what love says. There are already truck stops in this area only a couple miles south, 1 at Laraway and 52, 2 at Laraway and 53, 1 being constructed at Emerald and 53. How many more are needed? Semis, which notice traffic backed up on Interstate 80, waiting to exit on Chicago Street, continue east to Richards, exit south to Mills Road, then travel east to Briggs. Then go north back to Route 80 or south to Laraway Road. Or just take 80 to Briggs and go south. This I have witnessed with my own eyes. Joliet Cold Storage is finishing up phase 3. There will most likely be an increase in semis coming into and leaving the facilities. Estes just started operation, and most likely are not at 100% operational yet. And ground was just broke at Ellis and Cherry Hill Road for another warehouse, more trucks. As the fire chief responsible for this area and the resident, I stand opposed to this project, along with all the residents of the area, and those residents from other communities who have to travel Briggs Street. Thank you.
I'm not accustomed to public speaking. Michelle Schultes, 1297 Burger Avenue. Okay, the proposed truck stop is not appropriate for this location. Okay, as I was doing research, I found that the city of Joliet has zoning districts. Article 2, section 47-2, intent and purpose, which states, this ordinance is based on a plan. This property cannot be part of City of Joliet's plan, or it wouldn't need to be annexed. The purpose of the plan is to lessen the congestion of the public streets. There's no way 600 trucks a day, and we were initially told in the July 31st meeting, 2,000 cars a day, now it is up to 2,400 cars a day, is going to lessen congestion. Those figures were projected by the Love's Travel Study, but Jose Rodriguez, senior planner from CMAP, advised CESO, the firm that conducted the travel study, in an email dated April 14th of 16, that truck percentages per the CMAP model are considerably higher than what CESO has reported. Okay, and this traffic study was also conducted prior to Estes and the expansion of cold storage and everything that's continuing on out on South Chicago Street. Of Article 2, Section 47-2 is to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare. There's no way a truck stop at this location is going to do any of the above. The residents of this area will be subjected to increased noise pollution, air pollution, and the potential for contamination of our wells will exist. The infrastructure in this area is crumbling and in a state of disrepair. The Briggs Street overpass has a sufficiency rating of 19 out of 100. It has been shored, okay, I talked to the senior engineer for IDOT on 8/18, or 8/17 of 18, I'm sorry, okay? The weight restrictions are posted. Exactly what I was told is the overpass is in their 6-year plan. They believe it will be the latter part of 2023. It is still going to be 2-lane. They do realize that they're going to have to do more frequent maintenance in the interim until it's replaced. And her exact words to me, because I point blank asked her, I said, I go over this overpass, I travel Briggs Street, will it handle the traffic? We believe it will. Believing and guaranteeing are not the same thing. City of Joliet released a media release dated November 20th of 17 that stated the load restriction is intended to minimize the stresses on the beam ends until such a time as a corrective measure can be taken. We already know that's not until 2023 if the appropriations are there by the state. Okay. More frequent maintenance is going to be required. And then it also stated in the City of Joliet's media release, okay, due to the fact that Briggs Street over I-80 in the City of Joliet is not a designated truck route, IDOT will not be posting a truck route detour. If Briggs Street over I-80 is not a truck route, why do we need a truck stop? While I understand the City of Joliet and Loves are not responsible for the traffic on I-80, okay? Let's not add insult to injury for the City of Joliet to become the warehouse capital of the Midwest. Fatalities in Will County, as per IDOT, are increasing. We had 61 in 2014. The highest number of fatalities are on Interstate 80 between Larkin and Route 30 for the Illinois State Police. Thus far, from January through August 17th of this year, we have already had 34 fatalities. That excludes the one that occurred on Briggs Street last week. As my husband said, on Interstate 80 this morning, there was an accident. Okay, the school bus couldn't even get on to Mills Road because of the cars or the trucks coming down because they were all getting off at Richards, Chicago Street. Okay. The trucks trying to get to Loves are only going to add to the congestion and back up I-80 travel. I don't care what any traffic study says, okay? You need to be out here for a while to see. Okay. Emergency personnel cannot get through a 2-lane overpass. Law enforcement is non-existent. We have semis now on routes that are posted, no trucks. They still go. We live on Berger. When Briggs Street South was under construction last year, we had semis coming down. My daughter was almost hit by a semi on Berger, walking home from the school bus. Where are the police? Article 2, Section 47-2, intent and purpose states that the plan has been formulated with due consideration, among other things, to the conservation of property values and to the advancement of social and economic stability. The approval of Loves will do nothing for my property values. Not a thing. The only persons or entities that are going to see any economic and social stability are going to be Loves and the City of Joliet. Our personal health, safety, and well-being will be directly impacted by this project. Granted, I'm an unincorporated. I cannot vote for the City of Joliet council persons, but I believe that myself and those of us that are unincorporated deserve to have our voices heard, the choice of where we live respected, not to be taken over by the will of the City of Joliet. And please remember that the lives and property of the residents of the east and southeast sides of Joliet deserve to be treated the same as the voting residents of the City of Joliet.
Hi, my name's Kelly Clements. I live at 110 Rachel Avenue, which is off of 53, so I deal with trucks at home. But I'm also the Assistant Vice President, Branch Manager of the Merchants and Manufacturers Bank at 801 South Briggs Street, directly across the street from where the truck stop would like to move in. I'm also not used to public speaking, so I'm a little nervous, but we have never been approached by Love's as far as where our building is. We have water issues now, so as far as their drainage, I would like to know that more water isn't going to come into our grassy area in the back. We also have issues with trucks now turning around in our parking lot. Many of the people behind me are my customers. We're very concerned for their safety getting in and out of our facility. We're just very nervous about it. So I just hope you take into consideration that it's a bad plan. It's just bad. It's bad from the bridge to the roads to everything. It's just bad. So.
Thank you for your time.
I am Deborah Cottrell. I am one of the owners of 1314 New Lenox Road. I have cancer. My concerns are, if you move all these truck stops in our area, what is to stop these fumes from infecting other people and causing other problems? We have been owners to this home for over 50 years. That's only one concern. My other concern is that our home value is going to drop. Okay? Love's going to keep making money, millions, millions, millions. What do we get? What do we get out of the deal? I mean, are we taken into consideration at some point? I mean, I'm directly across the street from where you're talking about putting this place. I'm next door to Mr. Doors here. And we have been there too long to let you guys just come in and just take over our property like it doesn't mean anything to anybody. And we're gonna fight you to the end.
Thank you for your comment.
Hello, my name is Margie Sepon. I live at 1114 Wood Iris Drive on the far west side of Joliet. However, I grew up on the corner of Briggs and Spencer, and my parents still reside there. And I had something prepared. I have it right here. But the traffic study presentation brought more questions than that I need answered. Okay, so my background, I have a graduate degree in economics, so numbers are my thing. So I dived right into the traffic study. The first thing I look at, okay, it's a single data point. Fine, traffic studies are done on a single day, perhaps 2 days in municipalities. But this traffic study was done for 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., they chose the peak hour. And then again, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's evidenced on page 5 of the traffic study and in the counts, the aggregated counts of Appendix A. In addition, that intersection, even going back to March 2016, was very problematic, congested. The truck traffic, oftentimes from Route 53, diverts to Briggs Street. So heavily congested. Was it appropriate, truly appropriate, to have the bare minimum traffic count conducted on March 24th, 2016? I also have a problem with March 24th, 2016. Not only is the foundational data for these traffic forecasts old, the traffic study is outdated, but that particular day, from what I understand from municipalities across the United States, many of them have traffic count guidelines. Traffic counts are to be done on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of a regular week, okay? To obtain the normal pattern of traffic. March 24th, 2016, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. was a Thursday, but it wasn't a regular Thursday. That was Holy Thursday. The day before, All of Joliet Public Schools were going on spring break. I'm a teacher. I know how difficult it is to get students to attend on that day. Spring break starts early. In addition, the nearby Union School was already on spring break. Furthermore, on February 22nd, I have a copy here, the Will County Sheriff's Office put out a Facebook post and stated that Brick Street construction was to begin on March 1st. So we have Brick Street construction going on the day of the traffic study. It's during Holy Week, and Good Friday is not a federal holiday, but it is a locally recognized holiday. Even City Hall is closed Good Friday. The other issue that I have is that on page, I forgot my glasses. On page 5, point number 3, according to the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation 9th edition manual, the development under build conditions would generate 6,230 trips per day on a typical day, 3,115 inbound and 3,015 outbound. Now, my issue is this. And it was addressed. It was the 9th edition of the Trip Generation Manual. From what I understand, soon thereafter, the 10th edition, the updated edition, became the edition to use. I would like to know what the Trip Generation would be using the 10th edition. Also, based on my background, data means everything for public policy decisions. Given the day of the traffic count, that's the foundational data for that traffic study that you are relying upon and the city is relying upon. Traffic forecasts were made from that foundational data. Traffic improvements were recommended based on that 2-hour morning, 2-hour afternoon traffic count. Now, maybe I missed something. May I ask a question? Yes. Okay, my question is, all of these improvements that are being recommended to the ramps, the roads, the lanes, will Loves, besides the 50% sales tax abatement, will Loves be proposing additional tax abatements? No, okay, I just want to know, because even with the 50% sale tax abatement, we could look at it that it's basically taxpayer funded. Those are dollars that we can't use within the city because they're being refunded to Loves. So in the end, I truly believe it would be irresponsible to use this traffic study in order to assess the Loves project. I think it's only reasonable that Joliet residents require a new traffic study to be conducted. And I believe it should be a requirement of the city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening. My name is Skip Huckbauer. I live on...
Could you say your name one more time? I didn't hear you.
My name is Skip Huckbauer. I live on 1581 Pinehurst Drive in Joliet. It's right off of Briggs and Spencer. I want to bring to you just a reminder of your own study. that you did on January 12th, 2018. And in that study, you had a person, last name was Craighead, and I quote part of this, it says, in the stretch of I-80 built in the 1960s, Craighead study highlights the range of safety concerns that will only become more acute as the region grows. As an example, I-80 near Joliet has higher fatality and overall crash rates than neighboring stretches with even higher traffic volumes. In addition, 26% of the bridges become structurally deficient and 46 are considered functionally obsolete. This is your own study. I want you to pause about this before you make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi guys, my name is Brandon Harris at 2614 Glenwood Avenue in Joliet, Illinois. I'm coming to you guys today as a planning commission. First and foremost, to tell you I stand behind the Loves Project. I truly feel as a young business owner and constituent of the community, this project is not only going to bring tax revenue that's going to help my generation survive and build bigger into the future, but secondly, I hear a lot about IDOT and the roads. And as we all know, this is the state's requirement and the state's job. We're taking this out on a company that's trying to bring revenue into our community and build onto our young people. And I drive I-80, I drive Weber, I drive all these roads every single day. Briggs, I'm on at least 5 times a day. Yes, we have congestion. Yes, we have issues. But at the end of the day, we have somebody willing to do something our state can't even do for us as community members. And we have a group led right now by a young man, Pastor Warren Doris, who voted to bring these trucks in to begin with. He voted to bring these trucks in with the city council. The city council voted to bring Centerpoint in. My generation had no choice in that, but we do have a choice to add more tax revenue to the bottom line, and I urge you guys to think about that. At the end of the day, there is more tax revenue being brought in to relieve some of us young people who are trying to make it in a day-to-day community and raise a family. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Ladies and gentlemen, there's comments on both sides of the aisle here. No one has been booing the repeated negative comments. I expect the same consideration if someone rises for it. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Francesca Long. I live on 910 South Brick Street, right across from the fire station.
Yes.
I myself am 25 years old. I'm a young mother and I have children. So coming from the young standpoint, I have a house. Well, due to all these trucks, now I have crumbling infrastructure, I have pipes moving, I just had to fix parts of my roof due to such trucks. So if you want to make the roads safer and everything, what are you going to do about the people that have houses? And the things that are happening to the houses? Loves, are you guys going to pay for my house when it's breaking down? No, I have to pay for that. I have 2 young kids. My driveway and the houses that sit on Brick Street are only so far from the road, and they're already planning on widening it, which I'm not happy about, because now you're bringing it closer to my house, and there's already accidents on Brick Street, and you're going to take away from the fire station's driveway. So there's already, you know how many times I stand out in front of my house and I see people almost T-bone the fire truck, semis, cars. You know how many people I see texting, smoking on their phones, just not paying attention, or they see the fire truck and they're just like, I can still make it because they haven't backed up yet. Does that not worry anybody? Does the safety of children not worry anybody? Do you know what truck stops bring? Prostitutes, drug dealing. I mean, I'm sure there's already stuff like that going on, but human trafficking, that's been a big thing going on. And I'm sorry, but I will not stand for it. I won't. And I don't want this. And I don't want it for the kids. And I'm unincorporated, so this ain't gonna do nothing for me. Not one bit. It's only gonna help the city and Loves, not me. So I urge you to please think about the kids, think about school buses. There's already enough semis as it is. We don't need any more. There's gas stations down the road. We don't need any more traffic. We need to put an end to it. There's enough as it is, done. Until that bridge can be fixed, there should not be a truck stop anywhere near it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission. I'm Denise Winfrey from the Will County Board, District 8. The Love's Truck Stop is in my district. My colleague Herb Brooks and I, Herb had to leave, he had another commitment, have a number of concerns. We appreciate the effort that has been made to make the Love's Truck Stop aesthetically pleasing. We appreciate the work that is put into the plan as far as the turn lanes and all of that. We appreciate the fact that our union brothers, I see John Scheid in the back, Doc Gregory, Tom White back there, all of them have an opportunity to get some work out of this deal to make some money. Appreciate that, understand that, absolutely support that. However, the residents in this area do not want this. We are concerned about the traffic for the school buses. Culbertson School is right up the street from here. Eisenhower Academy is right up the street. As Chief Schultes has said, the fire department is there. I live at 1108 Richard Street, south on Richard Street, which is the other truck route. So I'm already doing tuck pointing and all of that because of the trucks, because that's the way they're going around to get on to 80. So I know firsthand what the trucks do. I also support economic development. So it is a push-pull for us, for Herb and me, to try to bring economic development into the district and at the same time support residents. I see a lot of neighbors here. I see Williamses, Zagars, Malones, Mitchells, a number of people here that I've known for years. So I would not want to have them be, the Holmeses, a number of people, would not want to do or bring in anything that's going to make it harder for them to be able to stay in their homes and enjoy the life that they have been accustomed to. I want to support them. I also want to bring economic development, but there are enough concerns enunciated by the residents of the general area that I think that the Love's Truck Stop is not going to be the right project for that corner, that we are going to need to look for a different development there. Want to see development, believe in that wholeheartedly, but think that it's going to need to be a different development on that corner in order to support the neighborhood and to support the city. Thank you.
My name is Dawn Taylor. I'm at 501 South Briggs, right across from Speedway. I can't get out of my driveway now. And when they widened the road last time, we had to sign a thing that we couldn't put a driveway on the side street. You know, so I'm stuck. I can't even make an entrance over here. I was hit head-on by a semi-truck on the top of the bridge in September of last year. The traffic stopped. I don't know if the guy was paying attention. He looked up, the light was red. So in order to not hit and kill that guy, he didn't even look this way, he swerved into my lane. Where do I go on the bridge? Do I go over to the side? Do I let him hit me head on? I went and crashed my truck against the bridge, and thank God I didn't go over, and I wasn't hurt, you know, at all. And the other gentleman, everybody was okay, but it could have been tragic. Ron's mom's 89 years old. They built that house. Our value of our home's going down. I gotta take her to doctors. I can't get out of the driveway. I sit there for a half hour sometimes because they put that new stoplight right there. Well, there's 5 homes there. Trucks, I mean, they're long. I'm not saying nothing about that industry because if we didn't have the trucking industry, we wouldn't have things. They deliver everything for us. But it's just not a good spot. And I wish you'd take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Henry Ailes, and I own 799 South Briggs Street, the Quick Lube on the corner. I've been there for over 18 years, and I've watched this place deteriorate with traffic, and it's no argument to anybody that that's a nightmare there. The traffic going through or trying to go through, people trying to turn down roads they don't belong on, no place to turn around. And a truck stop there would help that. Traffic studies, I don't disagree with them because I think they're profitable. I used at the city town meeting we had, I live out in Manuka. I used to have to wait on the interstate a quarter to a half mile on the interstate waiting to turn. When they decided to build Pilot and change the lights down there, we thought, oh man, same thing everybody here is saying. This would be a nightmare. Well, I'm going to tell you, whatever the traffic studies did makes it flow smooth if you ever go out there. Route 6 is the same way. What they've done to improve things have helped. I know neighbors don't want a truck stop there because they don't want it next to their house, but I'm going to tell you, the farmer living next to them didn't want their house there when they built it either. There's not a farmer in the country who wanted a neighborhood built by them. Well, it's progress happens whether we like it or not. I mean, when America was built, it was 2.5 million people. Now there's 326 million. We have to grow with that. We have to change. I know we don't all like it. Here, I don't like everything, but I like Love's Truck Stop, and I'm not saying because they're buying this. My wife and I traveled a lot, and we prefer Love's Truck Stops because they're decent, healthy places to go, and I would just challenge the crowd. If anybody here has been approached by a prostitute or a drug dealer at a Love's Truck Stop, I would be shocked. Not saying it never happens, but I'll also say it's not that it never happens in your neighborhood. So I would definitely not throw a rock at them for that because they have a decent, respectable place if you ever stopped in one. I think it's a good thing. I think the traffic flow, right where we're talking, everybody here knows, before they put that one light on the other side of the interstate, one light in a piece of a lane, that was a nightmare to go through there. I mean, it was impossible. They did that and it made it flow tremendously better. I don't see how the improvements they're making here are going to make a world of difference. Now, I would like everybody, I'd love to see that bridge widened and changed. With time, it's going to happen just like everything else. But you can't just make everything happen overnight. But to do nothing about the congestion and craziness that's going on there right now, I think is more foolish. It's just everything there is an accident and a dilemma waiting to happen. And it's just, that's bringing the whole area down. I think it's an improvement, a huge improvement, and I'm hoping they do it. Not because I'm gaining from it, but I think here, we all have friends, family that are truckers, or we all travel. You need someplace respectful to stop. And Love's Truck Stop in Joliet, I think, would enhance our name, our area. So I think it would be a big contribution to Joliet and the area, actually, for jobs and the brightness it's going to bring to the area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Witzke. I reside at 322 Hartford Place. I am in unincorporated. My family, my parents moved us to 2400 Melrose Street in 1980. And I have seen the traffic increase my entire life. On December 27th, 2001, I went into my mother's house and found my father unresponsive. We called 911, administered CPR, and it felt like an eternity. From Melrose Street, you can hear when East Side leaves their fire department. You can hear the sirens. I kept running to the front door, wondering why it was taking them so long. In reality, it wasn't. It was less than 2 minutes. And they were there, and they took care of my father. And this is what scares me with the bridge. There is no room without it being widened for our emergency services to get through. I also worked in Minooka for 22 years. I saw the revenue that Pilot brought in. I also saw the massage parlors that catered to truckers that had to get shut down over and over again. My home value has dropped with the housing market dropped. I don't feel that this is going to bring my home value up. Please take into consideration the people who live here. I understand that this is lots of revenue for Joliet, and I do appreciate Love's using solar energy. I truly do. But please take us into consideration. Our lungs, our houses, our children, our emergency services. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Diane DeSero. I live at 1220 New Lenox Road, so right down the street from the proposed Love's Truck Stop. And as luck would have it, last Friday, my husband and I were painting in our living room, and we have just taken down some vertical blinds, so we don't really get to see New Lenox Road much. And lo and behold, we kind of heard what we thought sounded like a semi. and it was a semi-truck coming up New Lenox Road with nowhere to turn. And it then proceeded to go in reverse from Herman's Lane all the way back to Briggs Road. And while he was trying to attempt that, there were several vehicles that he was waving to come around him, causing an issue for the westbound or eastbound vehicles, because they didn't know that the cars were coming around the semi that was on the non-truck route, New Lenox Road. But here's the best part for me, and that's why I'm here tonight, because I'm a mom, and I'm soon to be a grandmother of twin babies. And on Herman's Road, when all of this was going on, here was the bus sitting at Herman's, okay? And the bus driver had nowhere to go, nowhere to drive, and obviously didn't drop off the children. So I am here on a safety issue. We have all kinds of kids who come to the corner at New Lenox and Herman's to pick up the bus, get dropped off at the bus. There's several kids there all day long, in the morning, in the afternoon. Is this what we want for our kids on New Lenox and Herman's? Because it's not what I would want. And I'm lucky I don't have children living in my home, but I have several neighbors who have grandchildren that I know walk their kids to the bus, and for them, I don't want this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good afternoon, Chairman. My name is Doc Gregory. I am president of the Will Grundy Building Trades, and I just want to say a couple things. I go to a lot of communities with projects of this magnitude, and we hear a lot of views. The one view I'll say about our people, our men and women that work in the union sector of the building trades, that our jobs are seasonal and we need jobs, we value our jobs. Love's has been a pretty gracious partner so far, that they've committed to using our union contractors and workers to build their project in Joliet, and I think it'll be a great project. Everybody came downtown today. You've seen the big new courthouse coming up, and it's a testament to government and people working together and getting details worked out. And I think Love's could be the same kind of project. I want to say one other thing. You know, there's a lot of truck traffic. It's not only an unincorporated Will County, it's in Joliet, it's everywhere in the county. And I'll just say this, every one of us are guilty of contributing to the truck traffic. Oh, come on, let me tell you why. Every time every one of us get on that internet, and we go to Amazon, we go to IKEA, you buy products, that's what's being shipped in here. We're a society right now that has to have it now. And we're building the things around here which are good paying jobs, and I urge you guys to vote yes to Annexon Love's Truck Stop.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you guys for coming today to listen to all of us. My name is Kaylee Matter, and I live at 1316 New Lenox Road. We would be literally across the street from where they want to build their truck stop. I've lived there for my entire life. We moved there when I was 4 years old. So I've watched a lot of different things happen in the area. The same instance that woman talked about where the truck backed up literally down the entire street. I watched the entire thing happen. There was school buses. It was unsafe and it wasn't right. Our road isn't rated for trucks. It's not. It even has a sign. But there's multiple times that I've seen trucks come bolting down our street. My mailbox gets hit frequently. There was one time, and I have it recorded even, there was a truck in the middle of the night that decided to come down our road. I guess he fell asleep behind the wheel and plowed right into our mailbox. It was awful. I heard it, I woke up, and it was terrifying. Imagine if that was somebody just standing there on the street and he just falls asleep behind the wheel. My other concern is there is pollutants. And I know they said before that the 24-hour truck stop, the trucks wouldn't be able to idle for a very long time. I worked at a rail yard for 2 years. In the winter, I know that trucks will run their truck often and long because they don't want to risk the chance of that truck not starting again because glow plugs suck and they're expensive to fix. They're incredibly, I worked auto parts as well. So I dealt with truckers. It's not a safe area for this truck stop, and I really just want you guys to take into consideration everything that everybody said to you in here, because this community has really came together to try to stop this because we don't want it. We don't want it in our neighborhood, and I don't want it across the street from me. It's, you know, it matters to us. Please just listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Hello, my name's Ed Paskowski. I'm also a resident of 1360 New Lenox Road. And one of the speakers who was speaking positively about the truck stop did touch base on a really important point about the next generation. Haley, who just spoke, is my better half, and we're at a point in our lives where we're looking to start our own family. And we're always looking at options. A couple weekends ago, we were in Wisconsin. A couple of weekends ago, we were in Michigan. But that's because of this development and an overarching issue that's in the community, because there's record numbers of people leaving Illinois because a lot of communities are choosing business over their community. And let's see, what else do I have? When it comes to developing a project in the community, it should be a project that fits within the community. All I heard with this proposed project was all of the force fits to get this project into that tiny spot. And it doesn't make sense for the area. Like the traffic, everybody brings up. But why do we have to, one, foot the bill, and on top of that, force this truck stop to get into this particular spot rather than be a benefit to the community when it could easily be something like a grocery store? Or I know one of the other proposed options was a hotel. And I think one final note I have is during race time, that intersection is an absolute nightmare. It takes us, if we decide to go over to the east side of the town, about an hour to get home. What's that gonna be like? Or even better, with that rating of that bridge in a 19, it is inevitable that it will be repaired. Where are those trucks gonna go when it turns from a 4-lane into a 3-lane intersection? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Hello, my name is Diane Matter. I live at 1360 New Lenox Road, right where they're gonna put the road. I have done my own studies myself, and I have documents here that prove things that had happened at Love's Truck Stop. Number 1, truck driver had fuel stolen at Love's Truck Stop. 2 truck drivers rip off Love's Truck Stop for nearly $1,400. Jasper firefighters respond to hazmat spill at Love's Truck Stop. Number 4, chemical spill reported at Love's Truck Stop. Number 5, acid leak shuts down Love's Truck Stop. Number 6, an undetermined amount of nitric acid, a highly flammable chemical that leaked from a tanker at Love's Truck Stop, ate away at the asphalt in their parking lot. Number 7, truck driver robbed at Love's Truck Stop. Number 8, police arrest 2 for drug trafficking at Love's Truck Stop. Number 9, 2 arrested for prostitution at Love's Truck Stop. Number 10, woman 51 charged with murder at Love's Truck Stop. Number 11, 2 men arrested after domestic argument at Love's Truck Stop. Number 12, police arrest 2 in Illinois with 1,000 pounds of marijuana at a Love's Truck Stop. 13, area's biggest drug bust at a Love's Truck Stop. 14, woman arrested at Love's Truck Stop for drugs. 15, mother and daughter arrested for manufacture delivery of drugs at a Love's Truck Stop. 16, get this one, Truck driver shot at a Love's truck stop. 17, woman with 3 young children arrested for distribution of meth at a Love's truck stop. 18, arrest made after Best Buy cargo stolen at a Love's truck stop. 19, man faces charges for stolen vehicle at Love's truck stop. 20, sting operation leads to arrest for drug trafficking at a Love's truck stop. 21, Macomb man arrested for drug paraphernalia at a Love's truck stop. 22, one arrested for a pound of cocaine, a pound of marijuana, some liquid codeine, and more than $2,000 in cash at a Love's truck stop. 23, man arrested for controlled substance at Love's truck stop. 24, road rage became criminal at Love's truck stop. 25, man arrested on charges he tried to steal from Love's truck stop. 26, fuel cards stolen in several states at Love's truck stop. This is a good one too. 27, couple accused and arrested after overdosing at Love's truck stop with a child in their back seat. 28, stabbing at Corbin's Love truck stop. 29, crews clean up tar spill at Love's truck stop. 30, diesel fuel leak at Love's truck stop prompts environmental scare. 120 gallons of diesel fuel leaked on the ground. 32, racial discrimination at Love's truck stop. 33, Shanahan police honored for seizure of 125 pounds of pot and 1,100 ecstasy pills at Love's truck stop. This is the kind of environment you are going to put in our community. This is not a lifestyle for families to have to deal with on a daily basis. I fear for the safety of my neighbors, and I also fear for the children having to get on a school bus with all the truck traffic. Would you want this in your neighborhood? What is going to happen to our quality of life? Is the city prepared for these kind of issues? How will this city be protecting the surrounding area? I am afraid of the outcome this may cause the city. This is a wrong location for such a business. All these issues have happened at a Love's truck stop. I plead with you to step back and put yourself in this kind of environment. Is this a place to raise a family and live? Please have a heart and don't let this happen to our fine city. Thank you for support and understanding the issues that this truck stop will have on our quality of life. And if anybody wants to read any of the articles, I have them right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If I could, let me play John McCain for a minute when the woman accused President Obama of being Muslim. It's not Love's truck stop. It is the nature of the business. And Love's, what I've checked out, runs a pretty good business. So, and the things he said happened, but it's not Love's. You could put Pilot in there, anybody else.
Pastor, in all fairness, a man stabbed his wife in the Jewel in Plainfield. These are crimes that could happen at any business at any time.
That's exactly what I was saying. So,
thank you very much.
But the nature of the business of a truck stop, you put Pilot anybody and do it could happen. So I'm just trying to say we shouldn't be beating them up like that.
I could see could be truck stop relevant, but they arrest people in Walmart, Jewel parking lots for drugs every
Even some in City Hall.
Yes.
One last thing I do want to mention, and I done. When we talk about property values, Mike Hanson's been my attorney for years. I told him about 4 years ago, I was thinking about selling my home. Then when Love's came in, he told me, after talking to a real estate person, that I would lose $100,000 in value. He told me that, and he stands by that. I lose $100,000 in value if Love's went in. I just don't believe all the residents and myself, we should lose value so that Love's in the city can make money.
Thank you, Pastor.
Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to plead our case against the proposed Love's truck stop at Brick Street, New Lenox Road, unincorporated Will County. My name is Tammy Kornauer. I'm 57 years old. My husband's name is Steve, and he's 60. We're both disabled, and he is retired. On a personal, very, very personal note, my property butts right up north to that field, 632 and a half Oakview Avenue. Over the years, I've been there 25 years. When we made the decision to move there, it was all about the location to raise our family. And we've enjoyed watching the falcons and the hawks and the farmers' fields and all the good things that come with that rural living. And I'm wondering, where will these animals, I know the animals aren't the most important thing in the world, but we're unincorporated, okay? Where will all these animals go if Love's Truck Stop joins the neighborhood? How will the farmers get to their fields if they'll be dealing with 600 plus semis and 2,400 cars daily? How can our school buses remain on their schedules in order to somehow get the children safely and on time to school if Love's Truck Stop is allowed in this area? How will emergency services, ambulances, and the fire department reach citizens in need in a life-saving fashion if Love's Truck Stop is allowed here to compound the semi-truck and car traffic we already have to deal with on a daily basis? Allowing a Love's Truck Stop to build where they propose at Briggs Street and New Lenox Road would inevitably destroy the quality of life for residents in unincorporated Joliet. And actually, who really knows how far the impact would be felt for the surrounding areas? I ask each of you to put all these citizens' concerns in your hearts and minds before making a decision favoring the proposed Love's Truck Stop. It's a proposal right now. Once it becomes reality, if it does, it will be too late to undo the damage it could cause. We, represented in our petition, handwritten signatures, and actual presence here today, are so many opposing this Love's Truck Stop and fighting the best way we can through our solidarity. I mean all of us, the retired on a fixed income, able to afford the homes we own, the disabled living with existing health concerns, the business owners that could be forced out of business, the working class and what would become of each and every day of their work week, the farmers that need access to their fields for their livelihood, the emergency services that race to save people, and on another platform, the wildlife that is left here. We all feel we have acquired our American dream, and as law-abiding, hard-working citizens, how can our elected officials choose a business like, okay, let's just say Love's, a truck stop, who possess bad reputations for prostitution, drug and criminal activity, and human trafficking, to name a few, be the appropriate, wise choice for this location when the trade-off is the common good of our lives, our property values, and public safety. Economic growth and development is always inevitable, but a Love's Truck Stop, or any truck stop, is the poorest of choices for this location, this community, and our safety. Please listen and consider our real concerns regarding this proposal. It is the worst proposal for this location. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, before you come up, I'm starting to see people get back up into line. We've been hearing plenty of comments that are very great comments about traffic and not a fit. Do you have a for or against opinion that already hasn't been expressed? I'm going to ask if anyone has a comment that hasn't been addressed, if you have an issue for or against this project that already hasn't been addressed, because we've heard at great lengths. Please, sir, step up, and then I'll give the parties a chance to refute or to discuss some of these points. So if this gentleman could make his comment, please.
My name is Eric Spurstead. I live in the Sugar Creek area.
Yes.
And just today, coming to this meeting, and it's a little bit different than what we're talking about, but on Cherry Hill Road, you got that big curve.
Yes.
I was coming westbound. This truck was speeding, and he veered into my lane and recorrected, and I almost went into the gully. Now, I have 2 kids, family, just like that. If I would have not moved, I would have hit him. I wish I would have turned around, got his license, but I didn't. So I just share that with you, that these are the ancillary things that happen. So, yes. And living in the Sugar Creek area, Morale Avenue is a disaster. And the city has helped, but we just today had 3 trucks. It says no trucks, they go in there. And I know that you guys probably can't do anything, but this is just the ancillary thing. So thank you very much.
Dude, I appreciate that. Sir, did you?
My name is William Chirilla, and I live at 1577 Pinehurst Drive in Country Club Villas. So far, I only heard the word health mentioned twice. With the proposed increased amount of traffic, including the diesel engines that the trucks will have, I'm considering a health issue, okay, and the emissions that could come from these additional vehicles coming into our area. And I'd like to ask the City Council or Love Corporation, have they ever considered or have they even met the EPA standards of emissions for that particular area? I would hope that you would consider that in making your determination on whether to approve this proposal or not. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
I thank you for listening to me today for a short time. I'll make it short. My name is Ruthie Lee Riley. I live at 701 Oakview Avenue, which is right across from Lowe's proposed destination. I live on Oakview Avenue, 701 Oakview Avenue. Can you hear me?
No, not too good.
Not too good? Okay. I live
Raise
at
the mic.
701
If you could raise the
Oakview
mic.
Avenue.
There you go.
Right across from where Love's is proposed to build. And I guess I realized what type of business that we were dealing with when at the last meeting, Mr. Sheffield told us, well, he would never build next to a highway or buy property next to a highway. And I took that very offensively because I never built next to a highway. I was raised by this highway before it came. And so, you know, that was very offensive to me for him to say that. So I just realized what type of person that I was dealing with when he said that. I own a business and I feel like I treat my people right in the right way, and that I would hope that if Love's does build here, that he treats his people the right way, because from what I've seen online and the lawsuits that have been brought against Love's, including sexual discrimination and harassment, racial discrimination, a class action credit card, excessive credit card to card holders at 370 location, overpaid, overtime unpaid workers, $130 million alleging that ComData charged independent stop owners and fuel providers 500 to 1,000% more per transaction than it did large truck stop chains. I mean, I hope that they treat all of their employees better than what I am reading online. I really don't want any kind of business like that in my neighborhood, because it doesn't seem to me like a reputable business, on top of everything else that has been mentioned here today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I've already taken up enough of your time, so I'm going to make this quick. But as we've heard about properties devaluing today, traffic, roads, things of those natures, you've also got to look at, and I'd ask Pastor Doris this. I have a daughter who's going through her education system. When I was a child going to Joliet schools, we were short on supplies. Often our classrooms were overpacked and overcrowded. With the opportunity to bring tax revenue to our community, I'm asking the community members as well, is a little bit of traffic worth the revenue that's going to put kids through education? Is that something we need to think about? As you're yelling no behind me, we have children in our community who are not educated, who are racially divided and have been for years. The east side of Joliet, which I lived on, and I guarantee a good majority of the people in this room know what that's like, is still beaten down and broken to pieces. And as we have a chance to bring revenue in to better our community, our little concerns like this that Love's and our community are working to better, worth stopping bringing more revenue to the table. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Steve Madden. I live at 1316 New Lenox Road, directly across the street from what you're proposing to build. I'm a retired Teamster of 28 years. So I do know what goes on at truck stops, I hate to say. It's not a good thing. One of the things I'd like to talk about is I was approached by this group to buy or to annex my property into the city of Joliet. I was told 3 different stories by these folks. One says we'll put an entrance here, one we're going to do that. One of the proposals they were going to give me was I get to keep a gun range in my backyard and shoot guns in the city of Joliet. I love it. I think it'll set precedents for all of us if you guys agree to that. I don't think that'll happen. You know, I think it's just they tried everything under the sun.
Do you have a gun range now?
It's what?
Do you have a gun range now?
No.
Okay.
But they're offering me one. I'll take it. I'll shoot weapons in the backyard. They're saying I could shoot weapons in the city of Joliet if I want. That's kind of strange. You know, why would you allow that? But, you know, it's beside that. One of the things we talked about, the traffic. You know, you did all your studies and all your stuff. I'm a pilot at Joliet. You guys did a study on the airport out of Joliet. You put a gas station at the end of the runway. So every time I take off, I got to think about if that engine quits, I'm going right through the gas station. So that's going to be one heck of a good ride for me. You know, you wonder if the city thought well about it. I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. We built the parking decks downtown Joliet. You can't get a wrecker in there. So if you break down inside the parking decks that we built to bring the river boats, that now the river boats kind of suffer because there's slot machines all over the city. You know, instead of keeping it where the river boats, we're going to use that money for the schools that young man just talked about. I mean, everything just gets diluted. It seems like time goes by with us. Where's the city going to go? I left the city 24 years ago because I lived at 104 Hunter, and we had a drug house across the street. I asked the beat cop to help us. I asked the councilman. I asked everybody I could in that town. You know what the comment out of most of them was? Why don't you move? So I did. I moved out to where I'm at today to get away from this riffraff. And now you want to bring it back to my neighborhood. Why is Love's not contacting the county to build this property? Why are they going to the city of Joliet? Is it maybe easier to build that way? I don't know. So that's all I got to say. I'm not for this. I hope it doesn't happen because I think it's going to really be tough on all of us.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Tony Benet. I actually grew up on this side of the town and have family that still lives there. I actually live in Shanahan, right off Route 6, where you guys mentioned earlier. That area is a lot bigger than the area that we're talking about right now. They did a lot of work to make it work with the ramps and extensions. Not only that, I teach at Union School. I drive this road every day, these highways every day. That school isn't going to benefit from any of this because we don't get Joliet tax dollars. We're unincorporated schools. So it's not going to benefit all the children in the area and those school buses. So I just hope you think about everybody in the area as well. And just coming from somebody that has to drive it and doesn't actually live in it every day. So.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rodney Cooper, and I live at 1110 New Lenox Road. And I have a question, and my question is, when they put this in and they pave everything, how big is the retention pond? And how much water will it take to rain on your blacktop before that retention pond is full? And then one of the other ladies spoke up and she said, you guys had spills. We are all on septic out there. If something should spill, you have a plan to put in sewer and city water, but you don't have a plan to put in storm, so it'll carry on. If something to spill out there on the blacktop and it would carry through the city or through the storm sewer and go somewhere else.
State law requires that any type of gas station or place where semi-trucks are going to be parked have to have triple basins to capture any type of oil or chemical that won't then go into any type of sewer or storm drain. So that has to be in their plan.
Okay, so what you're saying is the blacktop will not leach into to the retention.
All of their, correct. They have to have grease and oil separators to stop any type of accidental gas or oil or chemical spill from getting into the municipal sewer or the stormwater. They absolutely have to.
Okay, so you don't have a retention pond. They don't have a retention pond.
No, they can have a retention pond, but
where's that retention pond? Where's the water going to, or where's the water coming from to that retention pond?
That has to come from the storm drains after their gas and oil separators.
So you're saying, as you guys are saying, that we are guaranteed that if something should happen and we have to go on the city sewer and water, who's going to take care of that?
Go ahead.
Can I ask our engineer, Nick Hirschberger,
Yes.
to come up and address this? He's worked with
Absolutely.
the city staff and all these, and he's the expert.
Just real quickly on detention, if you go back a few slides to the site plan, the detention basin is currently planned essentially up there in the corner of the intersection, essentially where the oil and lube place is now, and we'll have to meet all, federal, state, and local requirements, as you mentioned, in regards to controlling the flow as well as the contents of the water. So.
Another question, where is that water going? Which direction is that water going?
It currently flows southeast towards Briggs, and so our detention basin is in the low spot of the lot where it currently lies. So it currently makes it to the ditch along Briggs Street, and that's where the outlet of the detention basin will be as well.
Okay, I'm gonna understand. It goes across the street to the bank. Now the bank just spoke up and they said it goes behind them. Now we're going westward again. We're going westward. As soon as we go westward, I'm standing in the middle of the block. I'm about midways of Briggs and Rowell Avenue. And my neighbor gets water that just floods the street, okay? And everybody down that way gets a lot of water. So all this water, explain to me that it's going further beyond the bank. Or where do it go after it crosses the street?
It's my understanding that as part of the county project, they are widening south of New Lenox. They're widening Briggs into a 3-lane section. And I don't know if they're widening too much, but they're striping it, rebuilding it. And as part of that, they will put in storm sewer improvements. And my understanding is part of that is improving those conditions. And I believe it heads south. I don't.
Thank you. All right, good. That kind of does it, but my thing is this. That's a lot of blacktop.
Yes.
That's an awful lot of blacktop. That water's got to go somewhere. So before you start saying yes and flooding us out, you need to consider that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Major. I live at 1702 Hillcrest Road. I did have a whole speech written out, but most people have touched on the subjects I was going to mention, but I want to point out a few things. First, I know that these people have decided that they're going to make this turn lane so that semis supposedly can't turn and go west on New Lenox Road. The amount of traffic that we've been presented with this, for every one of those semis that's going to be turning and going towards Briggs Street, you're going to have 4 cars turning out of that other exit and going towards Briggs Street as well. And you're going to tell me that that's not going to cause any kind of traffic issues or backups. Now, the stoplights at Briggs and New Lenox Road and Briggs and I-80, there's absolutely no way, the way it's configured now, and even if you make these improvements and make things wider, that there's no way you can time those lights with this additional traffic to make it so that there's not going to be a backup on New Lenox Road or a backup on Briggs Street or a backup on I-80. It's just not possible to have 600 trucks a day and 2,400 cars a day going through those areas, because you're not going to have a regulation where you're going to say, okay, well, 600 trucks a day, but you're not going to have them evenly spaced. They're going to be there during rush hour. They're going to be there when children are going on buses. These kids already get up and are at the bus stop at 6:40 in the morning. How much more time is it going to take for them to get through these intersections with all this extra traffic? One of the other things I wanted to point out is we just went on a trip to Minnesota this weekend, and we took 88 and 39, and I did see several Love's truck stops along the way. But the thing that surprised me was there was no residential areas around any of them. So what I want to know is, what kind of experience does Love's have building a truck stop in a residential area? Are you setting this up so that, I mean, to me, if I was a truck driver, and I'm not, I do appreciate what they do, trust me, but if I was a truck driver, would I really want to patronize a business that seems like it's going to be very difficult and congested to get in and out of? That doesn't make sense to me. So I would like to find out from Love's representatives or whoever, how much experience do you have with having a truck stop in such a heavily residential area? My final point is this. There's currently 2 gas stations on the other side of Briggs Street. They're not in the city of Joliet. I don't know whether the city has any plans of annexing them, but it's my understanding that as part of these improvements, there's going to be a turn lane added from westbound New Lenox Road onto southbound Briggs Street. Now, anybody who lives in that area knows how close the gas pumps are already to that New Lenox Road for both those gas stations. How much of their land are you going to be taking from them to put in a turn-only lane so that, you know, vehicles, trucks, whatever, will be able to turn? How much are you going to be taking away from them? That's all. Thank you.
I understand you said not to come back up and reiterate on the same things. On the water issue, I do live at 632 and a half Oakview, right behind where the proposed Love's truck stop's supposed to go. That field right there that's next to my house, if there's rains, it's a lake. In fact, it's a geese hangout. They come there. And we have basements, the houses that will be left there if we're trapped behind the truck stop. So that's going to be an issue. There's a field that can soak up the water now, and it still won't do it. And then there's going to be blacktop. So I'm wondering, what about that water situation? Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luz Ochoa, and I live at 904 Raul Avenue. I don't think anybody has brought up the fact that when the train goes around Raul and Mills and Spencer Road, all of the traffic goes to Briggs Street. And as it is already, it's a hazard for all of us that live in the area, because in June, just this past June, a truck ran into my house. Had it not been for my oak tree that was able to sideways it a little bit, it would have hit right into our house. The truck said that they were detouring, trying to get to Briggs Street and Raul. Raul is supposed to be a no truck access, and had my son been out there 5 minutes later than he was putting out the garbage, God knows what would have had happened. So I truly hope that you guys really look at what's going on in our neighborhoods when you make this decision.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Diane Keck. I live at 1709 Sunrise Lane, Joliet in the township. I've lived there 55 years. I also own property at the corner of 53 and Doris Avenue. And I agree with most of the people have objected to here today, and I don't want to repeat a lot. There's one thing I haven't heard anything about is our farmland. Our farmland is being gobbled up. And I think it's a shame. I really do. Once it's gone, it can't be replaced. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sandra Banks, and I live at 720 Adela. What haven't been, I guess, had been addressed before, but East Side need a grocery store. At this rate, we have to go to New Lenox, or we got to go to the west side. We won't be able to even get out of our neighborhood to go to do our shopping. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we've heard enough comment. Yes, sir. Real quick. Yes.
My name is Philip Farias. I live at 1220 New Lenox Road. And I keep hearing these representatives here saying that they are going to improve the intersection at Briggs and New Lenox Road. And I was wondering, are you going to add lanes? Or are you just going to restripe the street that's already there? You're adding lanes, or because when that gentleman was just up here, he said they're gonna improve it or just restripe it. That's why I'm asking.
He was talking about south. He was talking about the county's portion of Briggs Street south of the project.
So exactly how many lanes will be added? Just one turning lane each direction?
Yeah. I had actually gone through 15.
Late, so
okay. Yeah, it was 15 different improvements. I don't want to go through them all again, but you can see on the chart there, we're adding at least one additional lane to New Lenox. As you could draw closer to the Briggs Street, we're adding a fourth lane. We're adding an additional lane southbound on South Briggs. We're adding a northbound right turn lane on South Briggs. We're improving.
So those will be new roads, not just.
There'll be new lanes. That's correct. It'll be widening. Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Sir, did you have anything to add that wasn't already addressed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My name is Matt Gugala, and I am a sheet metal worker. And I come to a lot of these meetings, and I see, normally I don't see as many in the crowd, which I think is fantastic. Everybody's exercising their right to assemble and to, speak their mind. But what I'm hearing, sitting back and listening, I hear that a lot of the problems that people are bringing up seem to be systemic. We're talking about the trucks that are existing currently. We're talking about the train. We're talking about the traffic and a lot of these problems that we see in our everyday life that drive us mad. I think that sometimes we have to look back and say, how did we get there in the first place? And we say, were we asleep at the wheel? Did we come to these meetings before it was our house? Did we come to these meetings when it was our neighbor's house? The difference that I see is that with this developer, with a lot of the developers that I see, did we come to the meeting when I have an assisted living that kind of tries to sneak in a little bit of the bad contracting and things that happen when you try to cheapen the job, and don't hire good contractors to do things, or they try to slip in a variance, that's going to cause the traffic at the restaurant, when they're going to add a drive-through where they didn't want the drive-through, things like that where we're kind of sleeping at the wheel. With this developer, I see they're trying to take a conscientious effort of using good labor, things that are going to create some jobs. People are going to go to work. They're going to be able to keep that money in the community. We're going to add some tax to the community to fix some of these systemic problems that have been created before. So as that tax money comes in, I'd love to see everybody still come to the meetings and try to get these other problems that seem to be in dire need of being fixed, but to point at Loves and say, well, Loves is the culprit of all of this stuff that our apathy has created is incorrect. So with that, I support the project and I support Loves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Willie Sellers, and I stay on the corner of New Lenox Road and on Rowell Avenue on the corner. And I want to know how is everyone in the community is going to benefit if Love comes in. I want to know what plans do they have to make sure that people in my community benefit with jobs and opportunities. And, because if they let CNN come in and build all those stations that they got up there on Route 6 and Grove up there where they got those center points and they got those CNN trains sitting up there with all the chemicals in it. Did you guys vote that in? Did you guys have to pass for them to be able to build that up there on Route 6 in Draper? They have Intermobile there, and they also, CNN have rail cars sitting there with chemicals and whatnot in. But it's right in the middle of our community, but no one benefited from jobs and different opportunities. So I say that if you let other trucking companies and different things come in, you should let Love come in, but I would like to hear what are they planning to make sure that everybody benefits from opportunities.
We've been approached by Mr. Sells of the Black Contractor Association, along with the Black Chamber of Commerce and other local groups. We're going to be working with everybody local and make sure everybody gets a fair shake and that we invest locally in what we're going to be doing. So I think you've heard that already with union participation. So that's the answer to the question.
Thank you.
I'm Laura Spurstead. I live at 740 Sugar Creek. Everything I have here has already been said. But I take offense. I was here 30 years ago. Citizens rallied against the quarry. I asked you not to put that quarry in. What I got was warehouses and NASCAR racing. I have RVs coming through Sugar Creek Drive and dumping their waste. I live in unincorporated. I've been here 31 years asking you to stop taking property away from the township and turning it into city property and then not letting me drive into my own home because of a race car traffic. You can have the police sit there at Rowell Avenue and Manhattan Road, stop all the people so they can get their ambulances through and their big nice race cars through, but you can't stop the trucks coming down Rowell Avenue. If you watch township property meet up with the city property that is in front of our brand new, beautiful Laraway School, you understand why I don't think the city has ever cared about us living in the township. Don't ask me to move. Don't ask me to move.
Hi, my name is Natasha Nelson, and I am a homeowner at 704 Richard Street. Now, I am coming from the younger generation. I have stood to the side, and I wasn't going to speak. I want to speak on several points, one being the amount of people that are here. I am begging you guys to take a look at this. I took a point today at work to the gentleman who said, where were you at these other meetings? Because I work and I commute, I cannot attend a meeting that starts at 4. So I don't know about everyone else, but I took a point today just to be here. In addition to that, the meeting started at 4 o'clock. I was late to come here because of one bridge in the city of Joliet being out. It took me 35 minutes from Jefferson Street traveling from Route 59 because of the traffic and rush hour just to get here, okay? Now, that's not taking into consideration if there were a train, if there were another bridge that were up, okay? We've already spoken about the traffic. That's one point. Another point, I'm begging you to take into consideration how we are standing together as one, begging you no. I also feel insulted that a company as large as Love's Truck Stop would even try to fit into this very small area and make all of these changes. Why so much? Why so many changes? Why? It's not big enough. Is anyone going to step up and say, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right spot. I'm not against it, totally. If there is a need for another truck stop, okay. But can we put our brains together as one and find a better location? That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying, okay? Not to insult you guys. You have a job. We have to live there. I've heard parents come up here and speak to the business owners, the new business owners. You're probably new in business in that area. I've been living in my home for 17 years. I look like a baby, but I'm 41. The traffic that has backed up from the one bridge, okay, and the traffic that has backed up now, if this comes, it is going to be a nightmare. I don't know how we have to spell it out, but it is going to be a nightmare. One more point. I hear you stating bringing revenue into the city. Can we please get a grocery store? City of Council on the east side of Joliet again. You removed 2. Not that you did it personally, but we don't have that. If you want to bring something that we'll stand together and give you a high five, bring us some things that we're asking for that will accommodate the community. My last point is, there are 3 truck stops. Not 1, not 5 exits up the road. It's just 2 exits up. from Briggs Street, okay? You have the Richard Street exit, which is where I reside. The very next exit is Chicago Street. How or who are we accommodating? Are we accommodating the truckers, or are we just making it just horrible for us homeowners and the surrounding areas? How difficult is it for a trucker to travel a little bit more up the highway, 2 more exits, to make it to a truck stop that's already there, that's already existing? And they have 2 options, either on this side of 53 South or the other side. It doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Frank Seepon. I live at Spencer and Briggs. It's nice to see the same professionals again, so-called professionals. But anyway, today from 11 till noon, I counted semis on Briggs going south and north. Take a guess how many? 66 trucks went, just trucks. That doesn't count semis. It doesn't count the trucks, the passenger cars, or all the other traffic. But I also attended 2 meetings at St. Francis University that were sponsored by WJOL, and all the speakers that were present represented the state, the toll road, and a number of others that I won't mention, I might not remember, but it came down to one thing. We have a big problem on 80, and we have no money. No money. Proposal was, let's make 80 a toll road. That would give us money to do all these other projects. And the other thing is, with all due respect, I'm not a lawyer, I wish I was, but when somebody mentions proposed, that doesn't mean a beans in my pocket, because proposed and doing it is 2 totally different subjects. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, did you want to make your closing comments?
Yeah, you know, we've heard a lot of comments here this evening, and I really appreciate on behalf of Loves, everybody showing up and everybody giving us respect, and hopefully we do so in return, and offering their suggestions, be it criticisms, no matter what. When I think of the many, many questions that I could have Loves answer right now, specifically, I think it all comes down to one thing, of course, being a resident company and of the community. And I'd like to call on Rick Sheffield here from Loves to come up and make some final comments, because when I think of everything that's gone on here tonight, it really comes down to the character and the reputation of the company that we're asking here to come to Joliet. He's heard a lot of, in some cases, perhaps accusations, in some cases, clips from news stories, but he's the man who's lived with the Loves family for over 25 years. I know he was with them today. He can speak to the type of people that they are, the type of company that's going to come to Joliet. You've heard him make some commitments. This is the type of, I believe this is what we're all used to in Joliet, is hearing a company representative who has authority to make these comments, look you in the eye and say, this is the way it is. And I believe that's what I'd like to hear him make right now, and answer any of these questions that have been raised by the audience. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
As Mike had indicated, I heard several things here today, and certainly I heard a lot of frustration. Most of the frustration I heard, though, was dealing with existing situation and what's been growing over a number of years. What we are proposing to do, I honestly believe, and I have scientific fact to be able to back it up, is actually going to improve the situation out there. Is there any doubt that we're going to bring traffic? We will, but the traffic that we're going to be bringing is very short haul. We're going to be pulling traffic off of Interstate 80 to our facility back off. We'll be pulling some of the traffic off of Briggs to our facility and back to the same destination. No truck driver goes 10 miles out of their way and spends 2 gallons worth of fuel to come to a location to fuel. It's just not cost effective for the fuel cost or the time. In most areas where Love's builds, we wind up being one of the largest tax contributors, in a lot of instances, the largest employers. We value our teams, and some of the things that I heard today were a little bit disturbing. As was mentioned by the chairman, there are things that happen when you service 1 million people a day, which is basically what comes through all of our locations everywhere. But you can also grab a headline, just like the headline with Shanahan. We don't even have a store there yet. And that newspaper article actually was mentioning that Love's is coming to Shanahan. That's all it was. At the same time, commendating a police officer for doing a great job on a bust. So, I would certainly encourage you to, check us out. The Love's people are honorable people. We're family owned. And what we say we're going to do is what we're going to do. Having said that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Hearing none. Chris, do we have to call the 3 motions separately, or can we do all 3 at once? The A12, A13, and A14?
Separately.
Okay. A motion is in order for A-12-18.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Ms. Fide? Aye. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Nay.
Mr. Roussenellis?
Aye.
Mr. Broderick?
No.
Mr. Strong?
Aye. A motion's in order for A-13-18.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Ms. Fide? Aye. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Nay.
Mr. Roussenellis?
Aye.
Mr. Broderick?
No.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Strong?
Aye. And a motion is in order for A-14-18.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll.
Ms. Fide? Aye. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Nay.
Mr. Roussenellis?
Aye.
Mr. Broderick?
No.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Strong?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
The motion to approve the minutes?
There's no minutes today.
Oh, there are no minutes? That was on the agenda.
Yeah.
Nothing with it, though.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, the next item would be, nothing. The next item would be public comments on any items that are not on the agenda. Public comments on any items that are not on the agenda.
Hearing none? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you for selling out people who can't be your constituents.
Just me and Bradley? Yes. There's a nice paper made for you. That was here. I know it. Because we let him. Hey, Joe.